Good morning, OCW. It's raining right now, so I can't really get outside. So I was going to get around to doing this anyways. All I wanted to do today was kind of go over a few of the votes and kind of look at some of the data that came in and some of the trends that have come in. Because I've had a few people asking me questions such as, hey, who came in 16th? Who came in a little bit below that? Hey, how many votes did I get individually? Has been asked a few times. I didn't reveal rookie of the, well, top rookie anyways, and I didn't reveal the matches that were being asked for. So I figured this would be a lot quicker of a way just to go through it. Want to keep it to like 30 minutes max. So I'm just going to run through this right quick. I will pause just for some insights and some stuff that people have been asking me about individually, so I'll get a chance to talk about that. But anyways, this is the main page of the voting for the survey. And it comes back to me, and you can kind of see how it breaks it down for me. So which 6 male active superstars have the biggest impact leading into Wrestlution. You can see a bar graph that represents it. If you want to see the hard numbers, they're down here. But very clearly you can see that Quartz pulled ahead, and congratulations to him. He's been doing a fantastic job lately. Something that certainly needs to be said is that he's been incredibly consistent. If you look at it, it's been a steady rise. I'd almost like compare it to Edge, not necessarily, play style or anything like that, but I would say that, came from a tag team, moved his way up, was early identified as the top guy in the tag team, sorry, Rust, and he's now moving on to a singles career. So, I think Quartz has talked about it publicly. I think he's just kind of taking a little bit of a break right now, but that'll come back in a little bit because Quartz is somebody that I wouldn't mind having a match with at some point. Would love it, actually. I'm very happy to see myself come in second place. Thank you guys so much for that. H2O, consistent mainstay. El Parca is up there as well, and then Rex, and then Rust is kind of emerging from the shadows of Quartz, so, congratulations to him. Beginning of all this, Cassidy wasn't getting too many votes. I was getting a little worried. I think a lot of people, don't forget that without him being here, the big story and all these moving parts coming together really wouldn't have happened, because I think a lot of it was people wanted to see him get dethroned from the top of it. So he obviously played a big part. Without him, there wouldn't have been a faction that comes in, takes over, and causes people to actually work against him. Doc Green, overall, always a consistent factor up there. I was very surprised not to see him in the top 15, but, what you're going to do, things like that are going to happen at some point. And Mez, for some great promo work. I absolutely love his stuff lately, and Justin has had a fantastic story going so far with Leo, and you can see that he was the one benefiting from it the most. Alright, moving down here. Active female wrestlers most intrigued by after Lucian. Flojo was only the second time someone actually dethrones Valkyrie. Actually third time. Usually it would be Empress that was fighting for that top spot, but Flojo came out of nowhere. And one of the things that really stood out is how much people got behind the character at Lucian. People are cheering for it, from what I understood. I listened to the rewind of the party chat, and you could hear that a lot of people are very disappointed by what happened when Flojo got eliminated first. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing that character develop. Hopefully that's a feather in the cap to Flo, because I know that Bradley gets a little discouraged, but hey, look at it, man. You're doing fantastic. People are happy to see your stuff. That's pretty much what I wanted to see anyways. Valkyrie coming out in second place, winning the title and everything. Back-to-back Lucian moments. Always a consistent mainstay in the top. Round of applause, everything for that. More, and these are usually the top three. Removing Empress from it obviously makes it a little different. Blaine, I was surprised to see get so many, but I appreciate it. I'm hoping to get a lot more involved with Blaine moving forward. And then you got Heather and Elsa. Elsa didn't get as many as I thought she would, being so heavily involved in the story. But then again, at the end of one of the recent RPs, it was implied that Elsa stepped away. We don't know. We'll see what happens there. Evelyn Parker got one, and then the other was none. Someone voted that none of them were intriguing to them. So, okay, thanks, I guess. Your insight was appreciated. You made me giggle a little bit. Tag Team Classic. I was really excited to hear about the Tag Team Classic. It sounds like it's going to be something that's really intriguing, something that's necessary, because, CQC carried the division for so long, and Rust and Quartz were kind of joking around about this. They couldn't find anyone to face while they were reigning supreme, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and boom, you got a bunch of tag teams popping up. I thought that was silly. But it's also kind of true. Lucha Country is a new tag team, and a lot of people were very, very happy to see that. Pretty much the biggest reason why Parka took first. He just took a lot more votes. I thought the votes would be a lot more scattered when it came to Lucha Country, but I think it's a testament to saying Parka, Mark Reese. And even though Mark Reese isn't necessarily a favorite character of mine, he certainly creates a unique fold, a unique foil, and someone to work with Parka. That's the dramatic difference. So I think it'll be an intriguing tag team. Hollywood USA, Court and Jest, while they have been kind of this loose tag team, Jest has kind of been dealing with his own thing. Court's been kind of dealing with his own thing. Maybe with the conclusion of both of those stories, we're going to see these two kind of merge together and go into a tag team run. And I'd love to see that. B2O gained 6 votes. I imagine that with H2O holding the world title, there's, it's going to be interesting to see what happens if he's able to, win out through this and then be declared the tag team champion. I don't know how I would feel about that. I can totally see, Parka getting it because it's a lower title in terms of prestige, but I see H2O, he could potentially get it, and then he has to defend 2 belts. And hopefully the tag team division doesn't suffer through someone having to focus on one title more so than the other. So we'll see what happens there. The Mega Bucks, one of my favorites actually. I really like the Archer character. The Archer character has developed, tremendously in the last couple of months, especially in the Doc Green feud. I almost thought of him as a face. So to see him and Max get a little bit of love is great to see. Totally didn't expect the Hattons to get any vote. Haven't really done anything with them in the last couple of weeks. More or less just brought them in with Rex so that we had something to get booked with, so that if we were running into multiple weeks of not getting booked, we could say, hey, can we get a match here? So the Hattons got their ass kicked by the Mega Bucks last time you saw them. Ever since then, they've just been doing some random stupid RPs. But, that's what something that Rex and I like to do. We get to just be stupid idiots. And, sometimes you just need to do that for the sake of sanity. Golden Cobra got 4 votes. I'll be honest, I really don't feel like I've seen much of AC Cobra lately, and maybe I'm missing something. So I have to be informed about that. Trey totally doesn't seem like a tag team guy anymore. He's attacking people and then getting attacked by, Rastatak. So I don't really see Trey doing much with that, but they were able to steal a few here. The Millionaire Brigade, new tag team formed, well, relatively new, by Antonio and Doc Green. I just got a chance to work with their characters for the first time with an RP, so that's really the first interaction I've had with them. I've seen them do some matches and stuff, but I'll be honest, I haven't really paid too much attention to them. But I know that both of those guys are capable of, doing some really cool things together, so they got me intrigued enough. The other, don't remember what the other was. What was the other? No. So none of these tag teams are intriguing to somebody. If I had to hazard a guess at who had said that, I would say it was Rusty, 100%. Bad Rust. 2 Wrestlution storylines were the most satisfying. I don't think there's any coincidence that the 2 top-rated matches get the 2 top-rated storylines, although it was a pretty big runaway with Turmoil's Top Stars Collide. They got 22 votes, which is 73% of the people that voted. Thank you so much that I can't say enough great things about Quartz, Rust, Trance, Rex, and big reason why I was talking about Cassidy earlier is because he played a huge role in that, even though he didn't really RP much at the end. One of the great things about getting to a certain point in OCW is that you don't have to write as much anymore, and you can just let people talk about you. And that happens quite a bit. with Cass. People talk about him. He doesn't need the RP, but he's still a major impact to people, and that's a big reason why he, deserves to get the number of votes that he does. Drago's kind of in that same position too. People talk about Drago a ton, so he doesn't necessarily need to write as much. You just have people who get to a certain point, and they don't have to be present in everything, and that's one of the things that I've always kind of disliked about OCW. You can have people writing 3 or 4 RPs per show, and it just becomes an oversaturation of it. You get bored with it because very rarely are all 4 of the RPs interlocking with each other. They're usually dramatic differences, and they almost contradict each other at some point. So less is better, as I've found out, and I think that people like Cass Drago are really good representations of the less is better kind of thing. You got teacher versus student. That got 15, which is 50%. Honestly, the story to me was not something that I overly cared for. I didn't think it was overly interesting, but it was consistent and it had a steady build. A lot of it took place in the promo room, which, if you're trying to get a feud started up here and you're trying to get some RPs out there and you want people to kind of see your stuff, it's, if you're a rookie, put it in there. This is evidence that, that is effective to a degree, so absolutely. Legendary Monsters, this was one that I voted for. I really liked the build for it. I thought it was really, really good overall. I loved the video RPs that we were getting. I still hear Malu saying gorilla noises, and I can hear Jay laughing uncontrollably. So that's a bonus for me right there. That just stands out to me as something that is really cool, really unique. And as a matter of fact, I saw them doing these video RPs and integrating text with video and imagery. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to try that as well. So I gave that a try with my next RP that you're going to see on Riot, which you've already seen on Riot because this will come out after that. Hopefully that's well received. But I enjoyed working on that. It certainly gives it a much different feel. It takes up a lot less space because you don't have to dedicate time and space on the show. And then in video, you can do everything right there. And once again, it's brevity. Less is more. Jess versus Evil, another story that I really enjoyed. It got only 3 though. These 2 really dominated that. The Archer and Doc thing, I enjoyed that immensely. I've talked about multiple times about how I've said, hey, who's the face in this, Doc Green or Archer? And I think Kent said it best. How can you cheer for Doc when he betrayed his best friend for the last, I don't even know what the implication is, like last 15, 20 years? I don't know. But it's a fair point. Floja's magical moment, there was some contention there. Some people seem to think that it didn't include Moore and Valkyrie. It totally included both of them. It's just when I'm putting these things together, I think about who is the most, what's the biggest element of the story that really stands out to me. And while Turmoil Top Stars collide, there was a bunch of different things going on. I couldn't really pick one thing that I thought stood out above the rest. There's the CTC dissolving thing. There is the Castianity breaking up. B-17 going to turn on Cass. But when it came to this, I really strongly felt that the most prevalent thing that stood out to me in the story was Flojo, getting on this run, beating Blaine to make up for the loss in the Queen of OCW. So she beat Blaine, goes on this run. She's involved. She's in the women's main event at Wrestlution. It's a far cry from where she was at this point last year. And then, the rest of them, I accidentally put down Monster Mash twice, so I combined those, obviously. And to that point, actually, if I did miss you, and I did miss 2 people, I missed Shepard and I missed Trance when it came to most influential males, that shouldn't have happened. That was on me. What I did is I simply gave you guys the average vote, so I added up everything, divided, and I gave you guys the average vote to ensure that you're on the list. By all means, you might have gotten more votes if your name was on the list, but at the same time, you might have gotten less. So, could have helped you, could have hurt you. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Danny's list, just want to talk about that very, very briefly. Danny's having a hell of a time. I really loved his shirt with the list on it. Austin Lee, Rex, and Jet. I thought that was a really cool touch. It's a lot better than spelling undefeated wrong on the back of your shirt. Okay, so top match. I really like the ranking system with the top match, so I'm going to continue to do that for the foreseeable future. Instead of just voting for your favorite match, I'm going to have you guys rank them continuously, because this allows me, one, it gives me a chance to see all the matches and how they're ranked, and then two, it allows me to kind of deduce what would be the rankings of the matches themselves in terms of overall enjoyment. So I've loved doing that. The CCW Elimination Chamber. There was contention with what happened during the match. You know, a lot of us got in our feelings, but ultimately we all came together and we were able to put on, one hell of a match. I'm very happy with that. So, kudos to everybody involved with that. And then Parka and Asu, they were ranked well again. Monster Ball was actually my favorite match of the night. It was just hard hitting, and didn't pause. So Beefy Man, throwing punches, all that stuff. Good times. I loved it. That was actually my favorite match, like I said. But just got a few more people to say that they felt this one was better overall. Women's Fatal 4-Way is right where I thought it would be ranked appropriately. I didn't care for the FI ladder match as much as everybody else, but I didn't hate it, so, seems to be appropriate for me. Trey versus H2O. For as much as people were saying they disliked this match, I think the majority of people actually felt strongly about it, felt that it did what it needed to do as a competitive match, and hey, that is comp, so ultimately Trey doesn't get to hit a finisher on H2O, big deal. It's gonna happen. So Trey versus H2O, appropriate. Danny Watts versus Austin Lee. I thought it'd be higher, so I really, really liked this match quite a bit, and then it really didn't do as well in terms of everybody else's viewpoints, but I loved it. I felt like it told a really good story. I know that Danny kicked out of the finisher and then goes on to win, and that's kind of been Danny's MO for a while now, is he's capable of kicking out a finisher, so he can go on, kick out a finisher, and then hit you with one, and it's done. And maybe that kind of came back to bite him a little bit here, because the perspective is, well, can you actually win the match, or do you have to rely on your kick out? We'll see moving forward. Let's talk about one I haven't talked about. Court Martial versus Shepard did not get as much love as I thought it would. Personally, the Court Martial versus Shepard rivalry that's been ongoing for, I would think, about a year and a half now, with intermittent breaks, is one of the best overall stories that's ongoing in OCW. Court has proven that he is capable of having a great match with everybody, and Shepard's proven that he's capable of having a great match with anybody as well. Maybe this one suffered a little bit because they had a match recently, and that match was really, really, really good, versus this one might have disappointed a few people's eyes. JT versus Kane, didn't really think anything special of it. It was a match. They did a good job overall, but they were just outgunned by a lot of other better efforts. Mugen versus Drago, I gave my feelings on this. I'm sorry that I have demanded over and over and over and over again that I want to see Mugen versus Drago, but I will no longer be demanding that anymore, as it's clear that Drago just murders Mugen every time, and it breaks my heart. TY versus Tony 2 times. Well, what can you say? It was very single-sided. It was over quickly. The skill gap between those two is just too great to overcome for TY, and there is not much to say about that. He got his ass whooped. It's gonna happen. He'll bounce back. Good luck. TY Sparks came out on top with the Rookie of the Year candidates. Danny Watts was directly below him, 18 votes to 17, so 1 vote separating them. Leo Grimm got quite a lot of love too, which makes perfect sense. He's been involved in a prominent story lately. With TY, once again, I'm just going to harp on him and say, hey, consistency. Hopefully you're not changing your attire too much, not changing your moveset too much. Get some practice. Learn the mechanics a little bit better. Danny, one of the things I wanted to say when it comes to him is he's trending in the right direction. He kind of came out of nowhere recently, and he's been doing some great stuff. He absolutely walled on Jet, which a lot of people didn't see coming. I certainly didn't. He was able to beat Rex, which a lot of people didn't see coming. I certainly didn't. I think Jay maintains that Danny actually lost that match. He was able to beat Lee, which a few people saw coming. I didn't think it was going to happen. But yeah, so he's on a hell of a run. He's doing some good stuff. One of the things that should be said, though, is I ain't in love with your moveset. And a few people have said that recently, especially with your new U characters. Your moveset doesn't necessarily meet the same expectations of visually what Danny Watt should be as a wrestler, although I think it's becoming increasingly confusing what exactly Danny Watt is as a wrestler. Some of the things that stand out to me is your running switch gutbuster. Quite a few of the wrestlers have it, people that are more ground-based in their attack. That move is just something that doesn't fit you one bit. You duck under the person, you pick them up, and then you gut bust him. A lot of people have it. I really don't like the move in general just because of how many people have it. I think it's time that some people start to move away from it. The people that should keep it, at the top of my head, will be Antonio Everett, because it makes sense for his character and for his overall moveset. So I could see Danny dropping that, and I would not be upset. He seems more like a brawler anyways. Next move that I'm not huge on is a running knee strike into the corner where the opponent doesn't fall down. Instead, he falls forward, stays on his feet. That move's done for comboing reasons, but it doesn't fit you. I'm sure people could argue it, but there are quite a few people that do have the move. T.Y. Sparks jumps to mind. He has the move. He uses it in his combos. My mentality has always been that if you have a move that has the appearance of a very strong strike, i.e. a knee to your face, you should go down. If you're not, it doesn't really make sense. That Florida Keys move, you don't have it, but when I see people hit it, it's silly to me, because it's this kick to the face and the person just turns around stunned. If you can't kick a person in the face and make them fall down, you shouldn't be kicking them in the face anyways. So, don't like that move. Don't like the knee strike into the corner because people just fall out. And honestly, if you get hit with a knee in the face, you're going down. I can attest to that. I know full well what it feels like to get hit with a knee to the face. You're going to fall down, and that's the bottom line. Favorite Lucian moment. Didn't even count this for the overall rankings. If I did, B17 would have been second place, and I would have joined the Mount Rushmore of the rankings, with Cass and Quartz being the only two people who have won the rankings 2 or more times. But I didn't, so unfortunately, I will remain at 1 from like a year ago. But hey, I'm happy nonetheless. Hitting Cass, I did not intend this. This was not something I foresaw. I had no idea what was going to happen. Honestly, I thought I was going to work with Cass to the end, and it's going to come down to Cass versus me. And then the son of a bitch hit me in the face with the kick, which I know was not intentional. Fucking targeting. I know he was trying to jump on the person outside the ring, but he ended up kicking me in the face. So it's like, okay, gloves off, here we go. Let's have some fun with it. And this opportunity has presented itself. I don't think anyone would argue that people got really loud during this. It made me feel really good to hear people get loud about it. Empress one night only. People seem to be in one of two camps. People either love it or they dislike it. I like the return, so I can't really say too much about that. I was surprised as hell to see it. But then the match itself, people can, have their own viewpoints on as well. French Blade gets heel here. I laughed my ass off at this one because Trey turns heel only to get attacked by another guy turning heel. It was heelception. It was funny. Velk embraces Empress. Understood why it happened. This was Empress's last match as far as everyone can tell, so it makes sense that one of her best rivals would say, hey, good job, bye-bye. I really like the Tag Team Classic announcement, but I can totally see why it wouldn't get as much love as some of the other stuff up here. Alright. So, matches that people want to see. This is where we're going to leave off. This is going to be the last bit of it. I'll just run right down the list. I've looked at it a few times. The one that I think stands out the most is there seems to be a lot of people asking for B17 versus Quartz, which absolutely I would love to see. But we got Rex versus B17, Parka versus Russ Cole, H2O versus Russ for the OCW Championship. That makes perfect sense. You attacked him. But now we got this match against Trey and Rust, so I think that's going to go a long way in kind of telling us who gets the shit talk more. Does the Trey get to continue shit talk, or does H2O, or not H2O, or does Rust get to continue the shit talk? Because they're both, they love the shit talk. Someone tells me I'm not going to do your job for you, booking. Just kidding. Azu versus Archer. I'm not a booker. So, just curious. Yeah, I can totally get behind that match. Two submission specialists. Would love to see it. Parker versus B17. Negotiations are underway. Parker versus B17. Not Parker. Parka versus B17. Negotiations are underway. Eminem versus Versus. We didn't get to see it. From what I understand, the schedules didn't meet. I would love to see the match. So, hey, if it can happen, let's see it. B17 versus Elliot Parker for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's called the CCW Championship. But, you know what? I get what you're saying. Negotiations are underway. Russ versus Quartz. I think a lot of people want to see that. I don't think their story is far from done, but at the same time, it looks like they're both kind of separating, going their own ways for a little bit. We'll see what happens. Mantis versus T.Y. Sparks. I can see why people want that. B17 versus Quartz. Watts versus Parka. That'd be a good match. Jacob Trance versus B17. Yeah, exactly what I need to go to 1-6. Lovely. Russ Cole versus H2O. Saw it again. Prevalent. Makes sense. Quartz versus B17. Yes, I want it to happen. Mike versus Versus. Yes. Mike versus Versus. Yes. Russ versus H2O. Yep. Very popular one standing out here. B17 versus Cass. B17 and Cass are scheduled for 2038 to break their 1-1, because that's where we currently are. We've been in OCW for 4 years together. We've had 2 matches, one-on-one with each other. We've had a few multi-man matches, but one-on-one, we are 1-1. And we'll break that tie eventually in a Lucian main event. B17 versus Quartz and Hell in a Cell sounds dangerous. 100% behind it. Flojo versus Valkyrie, absolutely. Want to see that. I think Valkyrie might crush Flojo. Flojo gotta fucking practice. B17 versus Malu. It happened once before. I was able to sneak out a win by the skin of my... Well, I don't really have a good euphemism for this one, or metaphor for this one. So, I would love to see it. Go for it, absolutely. Mantis versus El Parka for the International Championship. Nope, Mantis isn't ready for that yet. Danny Watts makes more sense, or Rex makes more sense for that. Cassie Hayes versus B17. 2047 now. Don't ask. Russ Cole versus H2O makes sense. That one seems to be the standout one now. Now that I've looked at it a little bit more closely. Parker versus B17. It'll happen. Parker versus B17. It'll happen. Russ versus H2O. Okay, we get the point. Book Russ versus H2O. That's what we want to see. Rex versus Danny Watts. Hey, lucky you. Guess what? You get to see it at the next Turmoil. #1 contendership match. So, good for them. You get what you want. Congratulations. So, yeah, that was rapid speech. I've talked my way through this really quickly. A few other random things, I guess. Fantastic. I loved watching Lucian. Didn't get a chance to do the viewing party with you guys live, so it took me like a week to watch it, but it was good fun. Loved it. Liked listening to you guys' reaction overall. Hopefully we, maintain it through the rest of it, and hopefully people continue to participate. So that's the big thing that I want to see. Overall, good job, guys. Continue with it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, yeah. People were asking me, who came in 16th place? 16th place was Doc Green. So, Doc should have been on the list. And then, following that, no order, because they were like 1 point away, and after a certain point in time, I stopped calling them, because there was a pretty big gap from 16 on. Antonio, Court, Shepard. Those were the guys. So, yeah. Danny was in there too. It was close. Sorry. But you gotta knock somebody off, and I don't do that. I just count the votes. Simple. Easy. Bye.